What's going on, Chicago Bears fans? Before we get into today's Bears news and rumors, subscribe to the channel, youtube.com/Bears Now. Trying to get this channel to 40,000 subs ASAP. We're closing in on 38. We're like a few away. So let's cross that number, and then let's get to 40K as soon as possible. Hit that subscribe button for Chicago Bears news, rumors, injury updates, free agency coverage, draft, yearly coverage every single day on this channel. It's youtube.com/Bears Now. Hit that big red button. You're watching Chicago Bears Now. I'm your host, Harrison Graham, back with the latest Bears news and rumors. A lot to dive into here on today's show, so let's go ahead and jump on into it. Ted Phillips, is he on the hot seat? You guys have been asking for this one. Two Smoking Jays, people are talking a lot of rumors on today's show to get to, but we're starting with Ted Phillips. And Mike Florio of ProFootballTalk had this to say just earlier today or late on Monday. He says, quote, if they, the Bears, do start firing people, they need to go one level higher and target Ted Phillips. He's got one of these gigs, and most teams have someone like this where he's part of the football operation, but when poop hits the fan, they're not, and they go run for cover and don't get fired. So 20 years later and a bunch of hires later, they're still calling the shots. It could be about this time, or it could be that this time it goes one level up and they clear out everybody and start over again. So Mike Florio, this isn't exactly a report, but he's basically saying, look, the Bears are going to make some changes. In his eyes, he wouldn't rule out the possibility of Ted Phillips being part of those changes. While he's not reporting saying, hey, I've heard Ted Phillips could get fired, he's saying, hey, he's been a constant in this franchise, and there hasn't been a lot of winning, so canning him should be on the table and could be on the table. I honestly think that everything should be on the table. The Bears need to reevaluate everything. I mean, the only thing for sure moving forward is that you need to build around Justin Fields. I think Matt Nagy needs to be gone. I think Ryan Pace needs to be gone. Ted Phillips, if he's a problem, get him out of there. You can't do anything about ownership, at least currently, but you need to reevaluate how you've done everything, because getting along and having good people, that's not good enough. It's got to translate to winning on the football field, especially come playoff time. And while Matt Nagy has won some in the regular season, albeit not this year, 0-2 in playoff games. So at the end of the day, this franchise has to reevaluate everything. Ryan Pace has only made the playoffs twice as a GM. That's not going to cut it. So they got to change a lot of stuff. And, hey, I kind of laughed at you guys last year when y'all brought this to the table. Hey, fire Ted Phillips. He's a bigger problem than you think. I think he might be a bigger problem than I initially thought. So, yeah, I'm definitely up for that. What do you guys think? Make the call. Should the Bears fire Ted Phillips? Type Y for yes. Type in for no. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's video. So if you get hit with that YouTube ad break, scroll on down, reply to this question, scroll back up. This video will be back in play. Are the Bears going to lose out, a.k.a. lose their final 4 games? Also, two Smoking Jays. People are talking. I definitely think it is a possibility. Now, it's also possible if the Bears win a couple games, but it's not like the Bears are one of these teams where it's like, oh, they couldn't lose 4 in a row. Really? They've lost 7 of 8. They lost 5 in a row before beating the Lions a few weeks back. Like, they're absolutely capable of losing their final 4 games here. You look at the schedule, Monday Night Football, yeah, it's going to be at home, but they'll be underdogs against Minnesota. I guarantee you that. Week 16 at Seattle. A few weeks back, I've been like, oh, that's one of the more winnable games left. They've won 2 in a row all of a sudden, and Russell Wilson at home against a Chicago team that's a mess. I'd probably bet on Russ in that game. Giants at home, I mean, that's probably a game the Bears should win, or at least have a good chance of winning. And then week 18 at Minnesota, you're going to be an underdog in that one as well. Losing out is not impossible. Like, let's not be naive about this. You could lose the final 4. Now, you lose the Giants at home, that's pretty embarrassing, especially considering Daniel Jones has a neck issue and may not even play this year, and Mike Glennon's bad. You can't be losing to Mike Glennon, but weirder things have happened, right? Like, you think if this Bears team enters that game 4-11, let's say they lose their next 2, that they're just going to be, super inspired to play the Giants in Week 17. I mean, half that team will be packing up for the offseason by then. Losing that game is very possible. Then if you lose that, you're on the road against Minnesota in Week 18, and the Vikings may have something to play for then. So, yeah, losing the Final 4, it is not impossible. I don't think it'll happen. I think the Bears will win 1, maybe 2 games. I'll probably predict them to beat the Giants in Week 17, but otherwise, I mean, realistically, this is probably a 5-12 football team at this point. It's sad to say, but that's where this thing is heading. How many more games do you think the Bears will win? I'm going to say one. I think they'll win one. I think they'll beat the Giants at home. But beyond that, I honestly could not tell you. So be honest with me. How many more games do you guys believe the Chicago Bears will win this year? Now, today's show is sponsored by our good friends over at BetUS. And, hey, when your team stinks, just go bet on football games because it makes the NFL a lot more fun. It makes Sundays easier to get through. Go to chatsports.com/Bears. Use that promo code BEARDOWN. And guess what? The free jersey giveaway is back for this holiday season. Go to that link. Like I mentioned, you got to start there. Chatsports.com/Bears. Use the promo code BEARDOWN. Got to deposit a minimum of $100. You'll get that 125% deposit bonus. This applies, by the way, for new BetUS customers only. So if you already have an account, doesn't apply to you. Place a bet on any game for any amount, $5, $10, doesn't matter. And then email us, jersey@chatsports.com. We've got the Justin Fields Navy jerseys fully back in stock, but only the Navy one. So this is the only one available, but there's a lot of them in stock right now, the classic home Navies. Email us, jersey@chatsports.com. Once we confirm you've gotten going with BetUS, we will send you guys a brand new Justin Fields Navy jersey. Okay, Ryan Day, let's talk coaching. Is he not interested in the Bears? Hey, it's a two-smoking-Jay type of day. People are talking, but none of this stuff is really leaning one way or the other. Nothing's confirmed by any means. Now, Trace Armstrong, who we talked about on Monday, former Bear NFL agent who reps a lot of coaches, including Matt Nagy and Ryan Day. I actually did not realize this part of it when we talked about Armstrong potentially replacing Pace on Monday's video when he, of course, denied that storyline as well. Now, that initial report coming from Jason La Canfora that Armstrong had conversations with the Bears, and part of that report was potentially bringing Ryan Day with him since he reps Ryan Day. Now, he has denied that he has talked to Chicago. We told you guys yesterday. Here's his tweet saying he has the utmost respect for the Bears, the McCaskies, Ted Phillips. However, any assertion that I have engaged conversations with them about the club in any capacity is simply not true. Now, I will say this. I don't think this eliminates Ryan Day as a potential candidate whatsoever. Like, I don't think his agent saying that he hasn't talked to the Bears all of a sudden equals, well, Ryan Day is just not an option. Like, I don't think that is the case. I don't think those two correlate whatsoever. So I definitely think that Ryan Day is still a possibility for Chicago. Now, I will say something that makes me wonder if Ryan Day is a possibility is the fact that he did just hire a brand new defensive coordinator at Ohio State. Jim Knowles, who was the defensive coordinator at Oklahoma State this past year, they brought him over from Stillwater up to Columbus. So those tea leaves could suggest that Ryan Day isn't looking for a new job, but maybe he's just living in the moment, right? Like, hey, our defense wasn't good this year, so let's get a new defensive coordinator. If the Bears call me, though, in a couple weeks, that could change things, right? Like, let's say Matt Nagy gets fired in a couple weeks and they reach out to Ryan Day. You don't think he's at least going to listen for an opportunity to work with Justin Fields to be the head coach of one of the top 5 most recognizable franchises in the National Football League? I think he'd be dumb to not at least entertain that idea. But his agent did shoot down the idea that he and Day have been contacted and are interested, but I don't necessarily think it eliminates either of them, especially Ryan Day. Would you hire Ryan Day as the Bears head coach? Like, I'm not saying rank your top candidates. I'm saying you know that Ryan Day would take the job. Would you hire him? Type 1 for yes, type 2 for no. I think I would. I think I would hire Ryan Day in a heartbeat. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.